Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another CSR Friday from Headstart Network Foundation. So we all know that the Companies Act 2013 amendment happened, and like it enabled corporations to partner with incubators and uh, like lead the journey to create impact through startups ecosystem in India. And this really gives an ample opportunity for the incubators and startups to find new avenues to mobilize financial resources and leverage the strategic partnership, which will turn enable uh, the startups to expand their reach globally. And as you know, entrepreneurship culture is embedded with the momentum, acceleration, and fast production, fast validation, fast revision, fast like execution. So and for sure, like this is what corporations can gain uh, very lucrative avenues to create bigger and measurable socio-economic impact through engaging incubators with the CSR programs and their uh, social impact programs. And with that brief introduction, we welcome you to 7th edition of CSR Friday. And this session will be on leveraging CSR for incubators, where Mr. Amit Antony, who is the founder of Path Building and a certified CSR expert, will giving a presentation which is going to cover what are the prerequisites for an incubator to get themselves ready to avail CSR funds, or how they can build strategic partnership with the CSR corporates, techniques and tips to approach corporates, and how to build that CSR partnership. So we all know there is a way a law came to engage corporates into incubators, and like incubators have a very it's there in the law, but like we are not much in didn't got that avenues to how we can tackle all the paperwork, all the documentation, and what are the tips and techniques which we needed to get in. And he will be also taking us through certain case studies how incubators were successfully able to leverage it, uh, because like he comes from a background like Amit as a seasoned veteran with a professional experience in impact investment, grant management, entrepreneur development.
I mean, I can introduce myself.
Yeah,
as part. Yeah.
please go ahead. So I welcome Amit here to introduce himself. I know Amit when he was with Ubaya, because one of my colleagues, Greenworms, got invested from Ubaya. So that's how I got connected with Amit. Please go ahead.
Right, thanks. I also want to clarify that I'm not a certified CSR expert. I don't even know if that is. I don't know how you can be a certified CSR expert. Just setting records straight. Yeah. So I can share my screen and introduce myself. But thanks everyone for joining this webinar. I know it's Friday, 5 p.m. I can also see some familiar names in the participant list, and looks like we have a great turnout as well. So starting with just introducing myself. Share my screen. So as Evan said, my name is Amit Antony Alex. I've been in mostly what I call the social impact space for about 16 years. Currently, or last year, I started my own sort of not-for-profit organization called Path Builder that looks at empowering young people to take action towards their purpose. What we do primarily is provide access to information, various initiatives to help young people who might be interested in creating a difference. They could want to become a social entrepreneur, they might want to work for an NGO or a social enterprise, or just within a corporate that they are working in, want to be change makers. And we want to try and enable that. Prior to that, I headed an organization called Upaya Social Ventures, which is an early stage impact investor that raises philanthropic money and invests in early stage startups that focus in creating livelihood opportunities. Prior to Upaya, I've worked with the United Nations Foundation, Innovent, in the not-for-profit space as well, and a social enterprise. I'm really passionate about working with young people, be it specifically to help them find a purposeful career. I also do a lot of work with startups, especially my focus area is sort of social enterprise startups. And my passion is in cooking new dishes. So that's about myself. What I also want to do is just go around and meet the participants just to understand, who's in the room. We can follow this format quickly. I can quickly call around people as per the list that is there. If you can give your name, the organization you represent, what your organization does, and what you do at the organization, what your legal structure is as an organization. I think that's critical when we look at funding from a CSR perspective. How are you currently funded if you're an incubator? And just one line, sort of your expectation from the webinar as well, so that at least the conversation that we are having, I can tune it towards meeting your requirement. I'm also going to call on the Headstart team. I don't know if you are known to everybody as well. So I'll start with Eben. Do you want to go first since your name is coming up first?
Yeah, thanks, Amit. So hope everyone knows me. Like I believe, because I was being in the ecosystem for last 12 years, working with incubators, startups, almost in the last close to a decade right now. Now, currently, I'm working with BITS Pilani, Goa, managing their BITS Goa Incubation Innovation Entrepreneurship Society, along with the Bioness. And apart from that, I volunteer for Headstart to do the CSR programs and also couple of other their engagement with corporates. And I help a few corporations to build their CSR activities, majorly in Tamil Nadu. So that is my work. And I was earlier running AIC Race, which is one of the early impact incubators in India. So that's about me.
Great. Do you also want to quickly say, since you're part of BITS Pilani's incubation center, what's the legal structure that you have? Since you're part of the academic institution, does the incubator have a separate structure?
We are a society, registered society, under Societies Act of 1860. Got it.
And how are you currently funded?
So we have three ways actually. One is from the government funding. Second is from the university host contribution, where BITS Pilani funds for the operations. Third is we pool some CSR money for our programs and all.
Got it. Great. Thanks. Vagish, do you want to go next?
Hey, sorry, I had my screen so yeah, my name is Vagish. I'm unlike Eben, I'm fairly new to the ecosystem. So I just kind of started my company last year, which focuses on giving sustainability rewards to college students, right? But in the US. So I joined Headstart in the month of November last year. So I joined as a fellow. So I recently got a full-time employment here as a program manager. Now I'm working alongside Eben, Taha, Rahul, all these fine people to kind of drive this CSR initiatives. So it's basically about me.
Got it. Ankit Manglek, you want to go next?
Yeah, hi. So I run a CA firm. I'm kind of here more to understand the CSR aspect because I work with a lot of NGOs and just wanted to keep up to date on what's happening in the space.
Fair enough. Yeah, so if you're not an incubator or an accelerator, you can just say what you do and sort of your expectation, like how Ankit said. That'll be great. I think next is it's the person representing AIC NMIMS. Okay, then I think we can move to Arvind's iPhone. So Arvind, if you want to quickly introduce yourself.
Hello.
Yeah, Arvind, we can hear you.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Yeah. Myself, Arvind. So we are running a startup company called Carriage Solution, which is a smart IoT-enabled build water management systems which monitor the quality and quantity of water in real time.
Got it. Okay, great. Balaji N. Okay, Mrudang Shukla.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, let Balaji go first then.
Yeah, sure.
Hi all, this is Balaji. I'm representing SSN Incubation Foundation. We are an incubator and a Section 8 company. We hail from Chennai. We are part of SSN College of Engineering.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I mean, my expectation is I'm trying to see how we can leverage CSR funding for incubation activities. That's it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's my turn, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Am I audible clearly? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is Mrudang Shukla here. I'm an incubator manager at AIC MIT ADT Incubator Forum. As we already have a 12A and ATG, so all the fundings and through related to the CSR, we are always anxious to work with. And we have already conducted 3 projects on the CSR. The one was with the HDFC Bank and with one corporate, and the two of them are the corporate. And so now as a facilitator for the startups, I always conduct and attend such sessions and never miss such opportunity where we can leverage more CSR funding for them.
Got it. Great. Dinesh Kumar, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hi, Mr. Amit and Evan. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Dinesh Kumar. I work for the organization called Agroforestry Business Incubator, which is situated at Forest College and Research Institute, Metropolitan Coimbatore. Ours is a Section 8 company, and it's 3 years old incubator. And we are currently funded through Entrepreneurship Development and Innovation Institute. It's a EDIA, Government of Tamil Nadu funded incubator. And actually, my expectation is like how we can, of course, like leverage CSR funding from corporates, and also what are the places where we can utilize the funds under the incubation setup.
Got it.
And I got the link to Hebin. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Amit.
Great. Divya Prithwani?
Yes. Hi.
Go ahead.
So this is Divya Prithwani. I represent Atal Incubation Center at ISB Mohali campus, and it's a not-for-profit organized Section 8 company, and currently funded by Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, and ISB. And the expectation is to get deep down into how we as an incubator can leverage CSR funds to create more impact the way we've been doing. So,
got it.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Dr. R. Kalaivani. Okay. There's fireflies.ai note taker Divyans. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself? So,
So Amit, that's a recording app, right?
Oh, that's a recording app. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know that. Girish Sampath.
I think we can keep it very short, like we are maybe like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
For each of them.
Okay. I think there's somebody else also from iVenture at ISB. So I'm guessing it's part of your team, Divya. Fasil,
Yes.
do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Amit. Yeah, nice to see you here. My name is Fasil. I represent Kerala Startup Mission, which is a government of Kerala's nodal agency to promote innovation and entrepreneurship in the state. So we are basically legal structure. We are registered as a society under government of Kerala. Currently, we have funded through multiple avenues, most predominantly funded by government of Kerala. We have CSR funds and other revenues from projects and programs we run. I expect to understand how other incubators are sourcing funds and what are the best practices. I was leading the CSR initiative for KSU for last 2 years. We were doing it in a very small way, not in a very aggressive manner.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Great. Manan Bhatt, do you want to go next? And let's keep it short.
Sure. So, hello everyone. Manan Bhatt this side from AIC GUSEC, that is the Gujarat University's entrepreneurship cell. and I'm based out of Ahmedabad, Gujarat. So we are sourced currently with the Niti Aayog funds, and we have also onboarded many corporates for the CSR funding. And the main agenda, what we expect is to, how we can educate these corporates regarding that there are funds you can deploy into, these institutes and, programs that can be catered. Right. And how we can make an incubation center self-sustain is the end goal. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Minish Mehta, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm from Jito Incubation and Innovation Foundation. We are a Section 8 company, and we're looking, it's a community-based platform supported by the community. So, and we are looking to explore multiple avenues of resources and how we can leverage them for our startups to grow exponentially. Thank you so much.
Great. Nayas from Jain Launchpad, do you want to go next?
Yeah, hi everyone. A very good evening to everyone. Thank you for letting me introduce. I actually run the Jain University Incubation Center. In short, we are Jain Launchpad. We recently rebranded from JU Incubator. So we are a Section 8 company. We are a technology business incubator supported by the Government of India, Department of Science and Technology. We also are running accelerator programs, and we also have a small seed fund as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks. Pradeep D, STPI.
Yeah, hi Amit. Hello everyone. I'm Pradeep Dage from STPI Next Initiative. STPI Next Initiative is a Section 8 company under the umbrella of STPI, that is Software Technology Park of India. We have around 20 plus center of entrepreneurship centers across the India, from which one of the incubators supported by AIM Niti Aayog, that is AIC STPI Next Initiative, is also situated at Bangalore, and I'm representing AIC STPI Next Initiatives and one more center of entrepreneurship, that is IoT Open Lab over here. Okay. And as I said, we have been supported by STPI, and STPI comes under the MIT, that is Ministry of Electronics and IT. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Prasad Bokar.
Hello everyone, my name is Prasad Borkar. I present AIC and MIMS Mumbai-based incubator. So we are supported by Niti Aayog, Government of India, which is under their Atal Mission scheme. And we are a Section 8 company, and we are funded by AIM, Niti Aayog. And my expectation from the webinar is how can we reach out to the CSR corporates so that we target their CSR funds for the startups.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Rahul Bahadur.
Hi. Hi, Amit. Hi, team. Hi, everyone. So I serve with IIT Goa. I'm here to build the ecosystem for innovation, entrepreneurship. I'm at the pre-incubation stage, looking to set up a Section 8, which will work as an incubator very shortly. We are a young campus, so there is a lot of churning that's happening. Well, so my entire drive is about social impact, and then how do we convince more and more corporates to utilize their CSR funds for incubators, for pre-incubation programs, for accelerators, for startups, eventually making the social impact 10x, 100x, all of that, right? So that's why I guess I'm here. And,
okay, thanks a lot. Richard, I guess Nayas has already introduced your organization. Do you want to quickly just introduce yourself, Richard?
I think it's fine. Like we can go ahead. Yeah.
Great. Then Ruchi Vora.
Hey Amit, hi Amit. I am a Headstarter. I'm new to this startup ecosystem. I'm just here to understand and gain more knowledge on this initiative.
Okay, great. Sandeep Raut.
Hi, thank you, Amit. And thanks, Edwin, to put me in the loop of Headstart. I'm Dr. Sandeep Raut. I'm currently Intuition Manager at AIC ISR Pune Seed Foundation. We are a Section 8 not-for-profit company supported by AIM Niti Aayog. We have raised like a small CSR fund for the student innovation activities, but it was not so organized. It was a kind gesture by the industries which are in network of the host institute. I'm here to learn the nitty-gritties and more art of raising CSR fund in a methodical manner. Thank you.
Great. Saurabh Chaubey.
Yeah, hi Amit, hi Bin, hi everyone. Myself Saurabh Chaubey. I am working as general manager with IT Mandi Catalyst. We are Section 8 company, and presently we have been funded by DST and Startup India and other government-based funds. We all and also the host institution IIT Mandi. For some of our program events, we have been got a sponsorship from several organizations. But we are looking for now to raise serious CSR fund for our incubation program and startup fundings. The expectation is to gain knowledge on what the CSR organization's expectations and how we can tap into that. Sure. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Sandeep Roth, AICC.
Sandeep already did, I think.
Oh, already did. Sorry. Sravya Vaisaredi.
Hi, Amit.
Hi.
So I'm representing IIM Visakhapatnam field, which is IIMV field. And we got funds from our institute, which is IIM Visakhapatnam, and we got funds from TIRED and DST. We also got funds from a corporate company, which is called MTAR. So I've joined this to learn more about how we can get more funds and how CSR actually works, and to know more about this.
Great, thanks. Subi Sneha. Okay, I think we lost Subi. Sureka, do you want to go next? Hi, Sureka.
Hi, Amit. How are you?
Good, good.
Good to see you after such a long time.
I know, it's been a while.
Hello, everyone here. I represent Kit Technology Business Incubator. We are in the incubation space of supporting startups across various sectors. We are a Section 8 company. We have been funded by most of the government departments centrally and at the state. My expectation from this webinar is to understand how do we pitch to corporates to move a portion of their budget from traditional CSR to this exploratory section that has been opened up.
Great, thanks. Veda Prasad Nayak. I think.
Yeah, hi. I also represent IIM Visakhapatnam itself. So we had already.
Yes. Venu, do you want to go next? Okay. Vinay Jain, Mumbai.
He's also from Jito.
Hey, hi. This is Vinay Jain from Jito Incubation Innovation Foundation. You would have got our introduction before also. So let's start.
Okay. And I think Dr. Aarti, MCC MRF Innovation Park. Okay. And Saurabh Kumar, both of them I don't think you're connected on audio.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Saurabh.
Please, I have to shut down my connect.
I think you're logged in from 2 devices. That's why there's.
Yeah, it was because I was out of office. So in that case,
Yeah, now you can speak.
sorry for inconvenience. I was outside of the office and willing to join the meeting. That's why I connected from the mobile.
Sure.
So thank you for giving this opportunity. And I am Saurabh Kumar, and I am heading TBI Kite, that is in Ghaziabad, as a general manager. So here we are to learn the process to generate and get support from the corporates as a CSR funds. Currently, we are getting CSR funds from the Mahindra World City, that is Mahindra's project in Mahindra World City in Jaipur from last 10 years. So it is one of the support in a CSR form we are getting from last 10 years. But other CSR support, we don't have other. We are trying to approach, and we are in the process. Even I have submitted proposal in a bank. So this is, I hope we will get some connects and we will learn something different from this platform. So thank you for organizing such a program.
Great, thanks. All right, I know we took a bit of time to get to meet everyone. One of the reasons that I did that is also to check if people are listening. But beyond that, it's also the fact that almost everybody has raised some kind of funding, right? As part of your, when you set up the incubator as part of AIC or DST funding, you've raised funding, and most of you have got some level of CSR funding as well. What I want to use this webinar is to specifically talk about an approach that you can take when you're approaching corporates. It's called the shared value model, and we'll get more into detail. I also want to set this expectation. Globally, if you look at the incubation space and incubators, they are not-for-profits, which is why most of like incubators in India are Section 8 or a trust. There are very few incubators globally that is actually making money, and they are only the tech-focused one that is able to scale up a company really fast, put in some equity, get an exit. And that is, I would say, a minority, a significant minority if you look at the incubation space. Therefore, there is a need for funding, and the fact that the government changed the rule. So it's actually in 2019 that modification was actually done, wherein the CSR funds could be used for incubators. And I think all of you are aware of this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time. You need to be registered as a not-for-profit to receive this funding, and you need to get sort of certified from one of these government bodies to actually receive the CSR funding. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time. What I want to spend some time is just talk, because somebody had set that expectation in terms of what can you use the CSR funds for. They can be two types. They can be a contribution to the corpus for the incubator, or it can be used for a project and program funding. And what we are seeing more and more is the second one, which is the project or program funding. And that's sort of the area that I'm going to focus on in terms of how do you make proposals that are attractive to corporates to fund you, right? Yeah, so the other thing that I wanted to just emphasize is the corporate money cannot directly go to the company, as far as I know. That the company, the CSR money cannot take an equity stake, and the ownership can be still with the incubator, but can't be transferred to the company. So there are certain nuances in terms of how and what you can use the money for, the CSR funding. Great. So here's the main part of it, right, is a key technique in approaching corporates for CSR. So anytime you create any proposal for a corporate to leverage your CSR funding, I would take this shared value approach. And what a shared value approach does is identify ways that you can connect with a corporate. And it should have these three key elements, starting with business opportunity, right? If you look at the CSR funding space for incubators, companies tend to support incubator programs that are aligned with their business goals. And when you talk about the case studies, I'll go one by one talking about it. The second being, there needs to be a social need, a social impact part of it. I'm not saying all corporates only fund socially relevant incubation programs. There are ones that fund technology incubators, for example, or technology focus. Let's say SAP would fund a technology startup that's very much aligned with their business opportunities. But the social need focus helps leverage CSR funding towards an incubation program. And the third part is building programs that can leverage companies' assets and expertise. So most of the corporates are reasonably large if they are spending money for CSR incubation program, which means they have a certain level of expertise that you could potentially leverage. They will have employees that can be part of, let's say, a mentoring program. They might have networks, they might have infrastructure. So when you make your proposal, spend some time, do a research about the company, identify what are potentially the company's existing infrastructure and assets that you can leverage. So anytime you prepare sort of a proposal to get funding from CSR, I would say this shared value model is something that has seen to be very, very successful. So moving from there, I want to talk about some of the case studies of programs. So starting with, how do you approach as well, right? So for example, now a lot of corporates are coming out with applications openly saying that, hey, we want to, fund incubators, right? So for example, the HDFC Bank's Parivartan program.
Mr. Amit, Mr. Amit, we are as an AIC MIT.
So sorry, I have muted.
Okay. Yeah. So I think, Mr. Shukla, you're saying that you've been part of this program. Yeah. So I'm just trying to let people who don't know that there are already corporates out there who are calling for applications, right? So be on the lookout for these opportunities, right? Here again, you can see if you go through the Parivartan website, HDFC is very clearly saying, hey, we want to work with incubators. We want to give startups the incubator works, our banking service. So you will see, if you go back and think about the shared value model, they are very clearly saying, hey, we want to leverage up. It's a business opportunity for them, right? It might be CSR funding, but they clearly see a business opportunity. They talk about mentoring program. They've created content using their employees that the startups can use. Again, that's the third part of the shared value model. And they're looking, again, social needs, right? Environment, health, and gender diversity. So you can clearly see that this is what the companies are also looking for when they are looking to deploy CSR grants for an incubation program. Now I'll talk about a few examples of company incubators that have done successfully, right? I think Social Alpha as an organization has been very, very successful leveraging CSR funding for incubation and accelerator program. So the example of a current program that they are running is with Pfizer. What they have also done is build a network within the ecosystem that they can leverage. So anytime you are creating a proposal, I would also advise that the more sort of partners that you have on board only builds to your credibility, right? So that's something that you can think about doing. Again, you look at this program, it meets all the three sort of circles of the shared value model, right? Pfizer is clearly looking at healthcare innovations that they can potentially look at leveraging, right? They are leveraging their expertise, right? Which is the product engineering, clinical validation support, regulatory advisory, market access opportunities. Again, these are things that they already have existing, right? So this, and you can go through most of Social Alpha's program is the perfect example of CSR funding for the incubation space, I would say. It is a very competitive space when you're submitting proposals to corporates, right? So how can you differentiate yourself? The other way to think about it is really understanding what are the values that the company stands for, right? And building programs that meet those values. So in Goldman Sachs, globally, they had launched this drive where they wanted to empower women. And that's how this 10,000 Women initiative came into being, right? Another example is from Bangalore Institute of Technology, the Business Accelerator Program. So they tied up with...
Amit, I think you have not shared the slides.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I think when it got disconnected, it went off. Thanks for pointing that out. You should be able to see my screen now, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so the next case study example that I'm giving is from Bangalore Institute of Technology's Technology Business Incubator. They partnered with LG and one of LG's subsidiary companies. Again, you look at it from the shared value model, it hits all the three buckets. Business opportunity. LG wanted to work with companies that are early stage, looking at IoT, ICT, electronics, right? Means exactly what LG does. They wanted to provide support in terms of incubation. They wanted to leverage their employees for mentoring. etc. Right? And then they wanted to look at, yeah, I think the only thing that was missing was the social need, right? But again, as I said earlier, that doesn't need to apply everywhere, but that's always an added advantage. Yes. So then let me summarize, how do you go about when you're making a proposal, right? So keep in mind the shared value model. I think that's very critical. First, you need to reflect, right? Identify what your incubator or accelerator's key strengths are. What are program areas that you want to focus? What are sector focused? What are theme related? If you're an academic institution, what is the area that you focus in, right? Can you think about building programs around that area? So you, end of the day, have some inert expertise, right? Try and leverage that when you're building out programs. One of the other things that I wanted to bring out was how you design programs as well. CSR funding can be used for like a 2-day program to a 14-day program to a 3 to 6 month program as well, right? So again, so there are many options out there. The second is to identify ideally corporates that are active, have significant operations in your area, your geographical area, right? They are more likely to fund you, given that they are able to build, connect, they can leverage maybe potential business opportunities, they can potentially create social impact as well, right? Then look at what the corporate's values are, right? What are strengths, as I said earlier, that you can leverage from that corporate, maybe from their regional operations? I think this is areas that will really help you fine-tune, end of the day, your sort of proposal to make it stronger when you approach corporates. And as I said, once you build your program proposal with your budget, things like that, look at the shared value model again. Does it cover a business opportunity, a potential business opportunity for the corporate? Is there societal impact? And are you leveraging, beyond financial sort of funding help from the corporate? Are you leveraging expertise and assets that they already have? And I think the second last point is critical, is the ability to identify the right person in the corporate to pitch to, right? Again, it depends on what the program that you're building out, what is the business opportunity. Sometimes, at least my experience has shown that maybe the CSR person is not the right person to approach for this funding opportunity. It could be somebody on the sales side, it could be somebody on the marketing side who sees that business opportunity, and that would be your in to get your proposal for funding through, right? And the last point is you will have to continuously repeat, right? Just because you put in a proposal, you get rejected, that's not the end of it. Mostly you will have to do it multiple times. You will have to keep fine-tuning your proposal till you're able to hit jackpot. Yeah, so that's the presentation. Just keeping time into consideration as well. We can open it up to questions. Given sort of the strength that we have in this room, I think there is an opportunity where people can contribute as well. Like I might not have all the answers, given the number of incubators and accelerators, given the experience that you have. If you think that you have an answer that you can contribute, feel free to pitch it. And Evan, how do you want to take the questions? Do you want people to type it in chat? What is your usual practice?
Usually we tell them to open up the mic and ask the question, so it will create that interaction for sure. So what I'll do, I basically, as running an incubator, I have few questions for you.
Sure.
So I'll start with a very generic question, like it's always there, right? Whether you shared like few of the models, like case studies where HDFC put up their application, or like LG and VIT. So I think like almost all the incubators here will have a question, the chicken and egg problem, whether we need to approach the corporates or whether the corporates need to approach us, or how usually it works. So that relationship building, like if you can give some tips on it, the river.
Sure. No, so I would say go approach the corporate, right? Again, I try and identify corporates that are, as I said, active in your region. They are your sort of low-hanging fruits. I wouldn't wait. It is easier for you to approach the corporate than wait for a call for application, right? You are able to fine-tune your application to whatever you want. Whereas the HDFC one specifically is talking about 3 or 4 areas only, right? So you will have to build a program according to that. Or when you're approaching corporate, you are able to build your own program based on what your expertise is. So my advice is go ahead, you create a proposal, right? And you will have to do multiple proposals, right? Multiple programs when you approach a corporate to really understand, gauge, what is their interest level. And in most cases, it'll take at least 4 or 5 meetings. I would say it never happens in one meeting where they say, hey, this sounds excellent, let's go ahead. That's been my experience. It takes time as well, right? I've had instances where, we've approached corporate, we've had good conversation, but it took a year and a half for it to actually bear fruit. So yeah, those are sort of realistic expectations as well to set.
Thanks, Amit. If any of the participants have some questions, they can unmute and ask for sure. And I
Hi, Amit. Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you gave few case studies. So in those case studies, the question is, so these incubators, where did they spend that money on? Because we understand, it's fine, we get the money from the corporates, but where do we spend that money? So can it be spent on all the operations like we do with any of our own money, or how?
Yeah, no, so you can spend it on most things, including salaries, so program related salaries, right? You can spend it on basic infrastructure if there is, let's say, co-working space that is being provided, things like that. You can spend it on, again, events that you might conduct as part of the program, right? Out-of-pocket expenses, travel to a certain extent within limits. So those are things that you can spend on. What, as far as I know, you cannot spend is, you cannot take an equity stake in the company. That's my understanding, but that's something that we might want to check with a chartered accountant. But as far as I know, you cannot take an equity stake using CSR funds.
Can I add something over here, Mr. Amit, for the same question?
Yeah.
So as we are the beneficiaries of the HDFC Bank, and we have been leveraging that to the 2 startups who got selected. So basically, the CSR funds are for the startups.
Yeah.
So basically, they give us an admin charges for that as a beneficiaries to the incubator, some percentage of it, which definitely cannot be done as an equity, and we cannot take any steps of security from the startup. And actually, the money that we receive are not for us. There are only a few percentage of it. You said some 8 to 9 or some percentage of it as an admin charges. But apart from that, we have to disburse this to the startup.
Yeah. So
apart from this, question to Mr. Amit, sir. Sir, from where do we find the opportunities from the corporates who are leveraging the CSR funds? Is there any podium or the portal of it where we know about this opportunity? Because by chance we got this, that HDFC declared this, and I saw some cuttings or saw some posters of it, and then we applied, right? But is there anything that our portal anywhere or anywhere where we come to know that corporates are leveraging the funds for the CSR or something?
So as far as I know, there isn't really any website doing that. I think the closest that I've seen is, I think, csrbox.org, which is an online website that has some information specifically around sort of CSR funding opportunities that come up. So it's not specifically linked. And I can see Eben is also sharing some additional information as well.
I just wanted to add that government is coming with a government official portal called csrexchange.gov.in, where project owners can post their projects and corporates can put their CSR focus areas or the regions they wanted to do the project. So it's a kind of a marketplace coming up from the government. So it is yet to launch. We all are eagerly waiting for it. So then you can go and get it. So it was supposed to launch by last week. It never happened. So we are expecting by coming week or May 1st week to launch this platform.
Yeah, one of the other ways that I have seen very useful is actually newspapers. Most of the time, these companies put out news stories on what they are funding, where they want to use CSR funding opportunities. That's usually a good sign to read, right? Wherein, hey, these are focus areas for these companies within the CSR space. Then it's up to you to make a proposal that meets their requirement. So that's another approach that I've seen that works.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
So traditionally, CSR fund deployments have had difficulties in impact assessments, right? Either they have to bring a report out and it's become a big problem throughout. And whereas when you work with incubators, perhaps that impact assessment is better monitored, is my understanding. And maybe that's one of the reasons why we'll be able to amplify a lot of these funds towards the incubators in the future, hoping that there is a better impact assessment report that we as incubator managers are going to be able to provide. My question is a little multi-layered. Mostly, what goes into that impact assessment for us as an incubator to get more funding towards us?
Got it. So I think one of the things, let me start by saying that how you're going to do impact assessment is an important part in your project proposal, right? It's as important as, I would say, your budget. Now, how you want to do it can be multiple ways. That, again, depending on the program, it's really understanding, starting with what are sort of outcomes that you're expecting, right? The simple ones would be X number of incubators that are going to be incubated or selected for incubation, right? From there, your outcome is going to be, is the focus going to be on getting them investment ready, getting them investment? That could be another outcome, right? Now, depending on focus, let's say if it is a socially linked program, let's say you're working in the issue of land regeneration, for example, right? Then you're talking very specific, like you can go into details in terms of what are indicators that you want to track for that set of organizations, right? Now, those are things, again, depending on the program, that you need to build those indicators in. As part of your program, you will need to train your startups to collect the data. Because at the end of the day, they are the only ones that are able to do that. So I can give you an example with Upaya. So Upaya Social Ventures runs an accelerator program where we, again, select early stage startups. Because we are an impact focused fund, we work with the startups in collecting social impact data. And because we are an impact investor as well, right? So it involves working with each of these startups to track the impact data. Now, I don't think most corporates will want that much information, right? They would want very high level data, right? I'm sure what they want is number of incubatees, let's say from what stage to what stage you are able to get them. If you can quantify some of the data, all the better. I hope that answers the question, Rob.
Definitely, definitely. So job creation, things like that also could be a key parameter. As I said, the goal at the end of the day is to get a bigger chunk of CSR funds for all of us, right?
Yes.
So what is that then? I'm demystifying it.
The way I put it is, how do you make your proposal more sexy, right?
Right, definitely. Yeah. I think there is a lot more to pull on that from you. So
I think I saw some questions in the chat window, so I'll try and pick those up as well.
So we have one from Dr. Yogmaya. Whether CSR funds can be deployed to help incubators to sustain themselves.
So I think what I understood from that question is, can it be done to pay salaries? I think if it's program related salaries, it's again how you show it. It can be. That's what most incubators do. So yeah, and some of the infrastructure costs, operational costs can be met through the CSR funding. I think there's a question also on what are legal aspects that has to be in place to receive CSR funding. I think that's reasonably straightforward. You need to be a not-for-profit organization. You need to be government certified. If you're in operation for 3 years, that makes it even more viable for most CSR funders. That's something that they look at. Those are the key sort of legal aspects as far as I am aware. Again, from a compliance point of view, getting proper audits done, keeping your books in order, those are things that at the end of the day is, the bare minimum that you need to do.
Follow-up question, sorry. In addition to these legal requirements, what are the other preparatory steps that an incubator or a team needs to sort of do to engage these corporates on CSR funds? And first part.
Yeah, so I would say if you're able to do programs, right? If you can, it's just like the way you look at like how you would look at a startup, right? If you can show some traction, right? That's always a plus point, I would say. Even if it's a small, high-touch program that you can show, that builds credibility, right? That's one. Two, I would say, the point that I made earlier on partnerships, right? End of the day, the startup ecosystem needs to be as collaborative as possible. One of the things that I haven't really seen a lot of incubators do is join programs, for example. I think there is an opportunity there, right? Where incubators can partner with incubators. End of the day, most incubators tend to be very regional. You can think about pan-India programs by having multiple incubators partnering, right? Collaborating, building proposals. So those are things I think that, and the earlier point of how do you make your proposal sexier and how do you get the larger chunk? These are ways that I would say thinking of approaching.
Sorry for hogging the time. Last follow-up question on this. Do you think there is a level that an incubator needs to reach or a standard before they approach CSR funds for engagements and activities? Until then, they're of course government funded and so on and so forth. So yeah.
So there is no written rule, but most CSR or corporates look for at least 3 years of operations. Even not just incubators, but any not-for-profit that they work, that's like a bare minimum that they look at. And there's also a question on 12A and ATG. Again, I don't know whether it's mandatory, but most corporates ask for that, given that it just adds more credibility more than anything else, as far as I know.
And personally, do you think they need to have number of startups successful? What are the eligibility criteria, so as to speak?
There's nothing like that. Like if you look at, well, you look at the startup space by itself, right? We know that, what does the stat say? 1 in 100 really survive beyond 3 years, right? So I think an incubation is all about that, right? It's about trying to bring out as many startups as possible. And we know that a very small number is going to be only successful. So yeah, the short answer is no, there's nothing around that.
Any other questions from the participants?
I have to share one thing, some question I was looking around. So as we are handling one of the CSR project from last 10 years, it's last 11 years. So this year, Mahindra made it compulsory to have ATG 12A certificate with CSR1 certificate. So now it's a mandatory part.
Yeah.
Even for that, they have put on hold our fund for around 6 months. After submitting this document, they released the fund and then we started the work. So it is on that way. So it is now, I can say, mandatory.
It's mandatory, yeah.
But हाँ उन्होंने ये भरोसा कि 10 साल के रिलेशंस को कंटिन्यू रखने के लिए उन्होंने 6 महीने का मुझे थोड़ा सा टाइम एक गैप मिला था to complete all the documentation, और जिसमें ATG 12A is time taking process, approval आने में थोड़ा time लगता है. So that is CSR 1 is an easy one night, one few minute activity on a text.
Yeah, and I think even if I remember right, there's a recent amendment that made. So earlier, I think 12A was given for lifetime. Now it's going to be every 5 years you need to renew it. So
there may be one more update from your side. I haven't gone through that. But recently we have taken in the last September, we have taken 12A and ATG to continue our partnership with the Mahindra.
Yeah. So my advice is, from day one, try and apply for.
But I will add one thing. As you told that partnership with the incubator, or being a part, creating a partnership for the programs, for the regions, for different incubator. So एक अच्छा platform होगा, और जो किसी को किसी भी region में काम करना है. Even I am exploring and I am under the process of some other partners. So they ask for the reason. I have chosen my reason for the work, for implementing the activities, CSR activities. So in future, I have some partners, I can explore more reason, and we can together work together for implementation of the project. That's a good thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if that's something Headstart can look at initiating. Like, end of the day, your larger mission is sort of that collaboration within the ecosystem, right?
That's one of the best output will be for the today's program, that we can collaborate from this platform. So I think that's one of the sign. Rest CSR fund generate करना और ये करना, that's a future part. So it's our activity, हम collaboration में कितना अच्छा काम कर सकते हैं और कितना अच्छा network, अपने network का एक दूसरे को कितना benefit दे सकते हैं. So it will be a future part, but creating a मतलब कहते हैं confidence आपस में create करना, that's important thing. Through this platform we can do.
Sorry, Abhin, that I put you on the spot.
Yeah, so we look forward to interact with you and like enable more incubators through collaborative platform. So that's where like Headstart would like.
And even I will feel happy to share the opportunities I am going through. When I will crack one of my opportunity, I will be happy to share with the other. हाँ, वो business मेरा model होगा. मैं थोड़ा business entrepreneurial mindset का हूँ. For any incubator, I will share the detail, but there will be a entrepreneurial mindset. So that will be the business deal will be there, but I am ready to work for it.
Sure. And I've
shortly I will share with this team कि मेरा जो अभी क्रैक करने की कोशिश कर रहा वो हो गया within 2 weeks, I think so. अभी कॉल आया था when I joined this session, so parallelly there was a call from that side. So maybe when I will crack, I will share with the other partners, so everyone can get benefited, क्योंकि हर जगह मैं काम नहीं कर सकता.
So
there is a lot of opportunity.
For taking up the conversation, we have a WhatsApp group with all the incubators there.
We can,
so you can join and like we can find like synergies we have incubators from down south Kanyakumari till the Jammu and Kashmir, and on the western I saw Tej somewhere, so he sits in Sikkim. West here, I'm here in Goa. So we have spread across length and breadth of the country. So surely we can pull good number of incubators to collaborate on behalf of Headstart and do projects together. Thank you for offering that, Saurabh, and so empathetic on like considering us other fellow incubators.
Yeah. Whenever जैसे ही मेरे साथ वो I will connect with my partner, और जैसे ही मेरा पहला ऑफर क्रिएट हो जाता है, एग्रीमेंट साइन होता है, I will explore for the next opportunity and share with us. और वहाँ मैं open to all the partners, अभी से बोल रहा हूँ, हमारा भी बिजनेस मोटिव होगा for the TBI and वो ऑब्जेक्टिव क्लियर.
Got it. Looking forward. In any other questions, we can take last
Amit
one.
And Abhin, I represent Avail Technology Business Incubator. I'm sorry, I'm not introduced in the starting. So let me share our experience in getting the CSR. After the incubator became eligible to be the CSR funds, we have quickly reached out to all the industry, because many of the industry, still they are not aware of that, the incubator is also eligible to receive the fund. So what we have done is, the exercise what I recommend is, you need to study their annual report. That is a good document which one can read about the industry's interest on the CSR. So that we have done, and then we made a proposal, and we have sent it to them. And then there will be the delegation from the industry, and there will be a lot of sitting, because you cannot prove the performance on the paper of proposal. So there will be a lot of visit, and successfully now we are tapping and establishing a facility, which again it's going to train. It is like a skill development training on the emerging areas.
Yes, please.
I don't want to name the company, because it is still in the final stage. So what I recommend is, there is a good document is available in the industry website called annual report. If we can read about that, you will come to know about their interest of area where they would like to invest on the CSR activities. Accordingly, I recommend the incubator can prepare the proposal, and then meet the right person at the industry, and start communicating, because it is not an easy process. It takes time, but there will be a lot of opportunity. Once they come to know about the interest in the proposal, definitely will be able to tap these good money from the CSR.
Okay, thanks everyone. I hope this session was useful. I've shared my email and LinkedIn contact, and feel free to reach out if there is something I can help in the future.
I want to ask a summary question. Any tips for writing a sexy CSR proposal?
Use the shared value model, right? Anytime you make the proposal, do a sanity check whether it is meeting all those three. I think that's the only thing I can think of right now.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
So I have one last question for Amit. So I saw that Path Builder, which is a network which you are building recently. So I saw a LinkedIn page, and I see a lot of good jobs are both like social impact jobs. So can you take us through like what is the intention behind building Path Builder, and how all these incubators can get more benefit out of it?
So I don't know how potentially, okay, I'll tell you what Path Builder is trying to solve. There is a lot of interest amongst young people. So young people, I'm talking about 17 to 25-year-old, either in college or just starting their career, but they want to make a social impact. And most people don't know how to go about it. For example, most people think that working at an NGO means very low salary, or even volunteering or work. And people don't know what are career opportunities within the social impact space. So that's the problem that I'm trying to solve through Path Builder, where we want to work with young people who want to be change makers, provide them everything from self-reflection, identifying what interest areas that they could potentially build a career. From there, sort of the idea is build a network of change makers. So they could be social entrepreneurs as well. So that is when I think there is an opportunity to work with incubators, right? If you, in the long term, hopefully Path Builder becomes a pipeline for social entrepreneurs. So that's, in short, what Path Builder is planning to do, and potential for us to partner with incubators.
Thank you so much. Thanks for taking out that 1.5 hours from your life, spending time with the incubators who's trying to create an impact in the country. And I believe like incubators are one good place where I believe like entrepreneurs are like freedom fighters, and these incubators are the ones who enable that freedom fighters to be in that revolution. So thanks for taking out that time, and thanks everyone who joined for today's session. Hope it was very useful, or at least like you got some like gyan out of today's session. Anytime you can connect to Amit on his LinkedIn and his coordinates for sure. He will really super helpful for us for sure. And if Headstart runs a WhatsApp group for incubators to partner on the collaborative opportunities in the CSR, because other side we are scouting the corporations, foundations to build their CSR program. So hopefully like we can do much things together. And that's for this Friday, and we will be coming back with another Friday. Over to you, Rahul. Any closing note?
Definitely. Thank you, Amit. It was quite fascinating to hear that. So I wish everybody a very good weekend for now, and look forward to a lot more sessions. And Amit, we'll look forward to having you also on the WhatsApp group.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone.